The beginning of the word ritual is right. Somebody that feels that they have the right to say what they say, they're going to say it. Somebody feels that they have the right to do what they do, they're going to do it. And if they're sure what they're doing and you're not, you're kind of provoked to follow what their right is until you find out what your right is. And when you find out what your right is, they get upset with you because now you're going to turn away from them and do what's right for you, which is your birthright. They'll take that from you in a heartbeat due to confusion. They don't want you to know what they up to when they doing it. You know, one of the best spells that works on people on an average is fear. Fear is a spell because it's the energy that works deep in your gut. And if they can get you afraid, then they can get you to follow them. If you're not afraid, well, then you deflect the magic they try to put on you. They try to come at you from another angle. If fear don't work on you, then they'll try to use loyalty. Every word is a spell. Think about it. You got to spell it out when you write it down. And when you write it, that's whoever has the right to cast the spell. See, that's why I was explaining a long time ago, you had to write the spells we wrote on the reed, we wrote on a tablet. Before we was doing that, we were scratching the surface of things to imprint the symbols, to leave the spell. If you ever walked in a dark cave back in the ancient times before books was written, and you seen a bunch of inscriptions on the wall of people getting murdered, you're not going to go all the way in that cave. You're going to turn right around, not knowing that what's at the end of that cave is a pot of gold. But you never went to get the gold because you seen all the murdered bodies on the wall. You turn right around like, I ain't trying to look like this. Well, somebody that was smart enough to put the image up here on the wall could put it in your brain. When they put that image in your brain, not to go any further, you won't. Unless you can swallow that and go, I'm moving forward. Y'all go ahead and go back. I'm going to go on in. See, stuff like that has been happening for eons to keep people away from the treasure. You'll never go as far as to go get the treasure if somebody can scare you away from it. Yeah, a lot of people out here now using fear spells on other Nuwapians and telling them, hey, you don't come into the temple where we at, you know, we can't be responsible for what happens to you. You're not responsible for what happens to me anyway. So why would I give you the right to be responsible for me? Because the minute you are, and I let you have it, I can't blame you when I get to the other side for me messing up on this side. I can't blame you. It's not acceptable on the other side. See, only on this side can you take somebody to a court and have them judged for what they did wrong to you. Only on this side is where you can go through the pain of hell. You don't go to hell, you go through hell. And you have to accept going through it first before you go through it. 9 times out of 10, when we go through hell, we go through it because of a choice we made, which means it was our choice. Somebody scared us into doing it. Somebody persuaded us into doing it, manipulated us. They casted some spell to get us to agree, give up our right for their right. See, everybody's right ain't the same. Most Nubians, we share a cultural right, okay? We're all galactic seeds that need to be cultivated in order to grow. So we do share a right in common, but that little bit of common will have everybody following the wrong right. That's an oxymoron. I said that on purpose. That means if you make 4 rights, can't you spin around in a circle? So that means everybody's right ain't the way you should be going. See, they just have you spinning right around in one spot, thinking you've gone somewhere and you ain't gone nowhere, but you done looked all around you. After you found out you ain't moved nowhere, you got to leave from that spot and step off. Most people don't like that because they like to keep you under their spell. They like to keep you shackled down, roped down to what they stand on. I call it, instead of understand or overstand, you can say stand, because I'd rather stand on the principle than be under your standing. Part of the spell, when people speak to you and they say you understand after everything they say, that's part of spell casting. Because every time you agree that you understand, you're following them. You're letting them take the lead. Every time you say, no, sir, I don't understand, but I do agree with the principle. Now he know he ain't dealing with no fool, because you know what your birthright is. You have the right to use your brain. Nobody has the right to use your brain for you. Your brain is a central computer that processes 9 conscious gases. That's why I don't listen to people when they say they're conscious, because they don't really know what I mean when I say I'm conscious. I mean, I let the 9 ethers speak for me, because they're the only thing that speaks for anybody. You have a brain, right? And your brain processes the gases you breathe in through the nostrils. So how are you conscious? See, that's part of the right of an elder, to teach these facts and not let somebody else come along and tell you something otherwise. I'm going to tell you right now how the brain operates so that you never can get fooled by anybody else again. When somebody tells you, hey man, you done said the wrong thing, you be like, well, I guess I was supposed to, or I was low enough in vibration for 6 ether forces to speak through this vessel. Because the brain is a computer that's writing down everything you think. When you think of a new thought, it's recorded in the brain as a groove. Talking to Young Elder earlier about it, the movie Emperor's New Groove. Remember when the Emperor, you ever seen Emperor's New Groove? David Spade plays this character that's an emperor that gets changed into a llama by a witch, and the witch is only changing him into a llama so she can steal his birthright. You ever seen that? It's a cartoon, Disney cartoon. Yeah, she turned the dude into a llama. And then he had to learn his lesson while he was in a lesser form. See, lesser form and lesson, they come together. So this dude had to learn that he was doing wrong to people because he thought he was better than them. He had everybody underneath him. Didn't matter what he destroyed to have what he wanted. He had to learn to not destroy what other people have so he can gain an advantage or gain something that he wanted. He had to learn that by being in that person's shoes or lesser than that person's shoes. When he ended up becoming a llama, the person's property he wanted to destroy to create an amusement park had to take care of his llama ass to get him back to his throne. When he got him back to his throne, then he appreciated the peasants. He wasn't looking at the peasants at all. He's just going to wipe them all out. You don't know what it's like or know what you're doing as an emperor until you're on the level of a commoner. See? You got to know how to rule. You can't know how to rule if you always got somebody in your ear that's your royal advisor planting bad thoughts in your head about everybody that's lower than you so they can get you to ruin what your birthright is and take over. And that's exactly what the witch did in the show. I think the witch was played by Eartha Kitt. I think she played the voice of the advisor for Emperor what's this dude's name? I can't remember his name right now at the moment, but it's a comical movie. You know, David Spade is a funny dude. However, I got the point when I was watching the show. Sometimes you have to be underneath who you think is underneath you to see how high they really are. See? And if old boy didn't have the compassion he had, then the emperor would have never got his groove back. But the only thing I'm mentioning about the groove is there was a new experience that had to be recorded in the brain. See, as long as he had everything the way he already had it, he wasn't going to change. So it had to be a new groove written on the brain. What's the brain? The galactic seed that develops all the way from a semen molecule into what it is as a brain. And then it records all that's thought about this plane of existence. After you pass away, the recordings go with you into the mind, which is the wind itself. See? Then they carry that into another vessel to fix the problems that another vessel couldn't. That's why I always refer to us as starships. It's highly sophisticated standing when you can look at yourself as a starship and not a human body. They trap everybody under the spell of human. Because they trap you under the spell of human, you don't know that you're more than that, and you don't think that you can be any more than that. That's a spell. That's a spell in itself. We're here to reverse that. We're here to get people to the point to where they can see themselves as galactic beings again. You come in as a galactic being. You don't want to be stuck here as an earthling forever. You didn't come here as an earthling to be an earthling. You came here to learn what this plane of existence was about so you can help this plane of existence cultivate another level. We had to go from third to fourth to fifth. Fifth is that abode of activity. We get everything moving. Right now ain't nothing moving. They want everything dead, frozen in time, and stuck on one track of mind. And they got us stuck on one track of mind by casting spells of fear, casting spells of want, desire, casting spells of guilt. Guilt is one of the, I ain't gonna say it's one of the easiest. Fear is the easiest, I would say. This is just my opinion. But guilt is one that you gotta see coming. If somebody came to you and said, hey man, you know, I'll build you a home as long as you let me sleep with your wife, you're gonna be like, huh? That's not even up to me. That's my wife's choice. How can you make a deal with me on another person's body? That's her body. You would have to make that deal with her, not me. And that right there would send him away from you, but then she would have to be strong enough to break the same guilt spell that he's putting her on because it's a debt spell. You only have guilt because of debt. If you're not indebted to anybody, You won't have any guilt. And there's millions of ways to put debt in a person's heart and mind. You see, you can save his life or his physical life. He doesn't know living goes beyond the physical. But as long as he doesn't know that, he'll let you trap him in a contract. People that know that will never let you get away with trapping them in a contract. They'll just accept the fate that they've, chosen. They'll let it ride out. Some people let their pain ride out in the house and you never see them at the hospital, but they suffer a lot at home. That's how you know everybody knows when they're getting ready to leave the body, which is not actual death. Death is a spell. It's a word spelled DEATH. See? And who usually puts the drug dealer in jail is the DEA. That's death. Because you got to say the before you say DEA. You just took the TH and put it on the other side, on the left side of it. See how that works? This is magic. All language is spells. Okay. People use different expressions, different emotions, which is different energy. Like I'm doing right now, where you go up and down in your tones when you talk. Black people, we wave our hands and everything like that when we talk. We frown our faces up. We smile. We open. We laugh very wholehearted, and that casts a spell on a person because it drives the emotion. The emotions is all that people have in the first place that they can control. If you lose control of that, you lose control of the body. How many times has somebody made you mad enough, spell casting, calling you, excuse my language, bitch, motherfucker, jackass, dirtbag, bastard, and then you haul off and punch them in the face, forgetting that you punching a bone structure. You think your hand ain't gonna hurt? That's just like punching a wall. You hit this man in the face, you hit his bones. Bones are almost equivalent to rocks and stone. See, it's this underlaying flesh and other systems to keep this person's emotions moving too. But now you're attacking. Y'all both fighting each other because the spells was thrown out there. All you got to do is ignore what people say. Half the time, if it's driving you crazy, ignore it. Leave it alone. If you don't leave it alone, it'll chase you. It'll be in your head all day because you didn't smack him. You'll be thinking later on, 8 hours later, I should have smacked that motherfucker. The spell is still working if you're still thinking about what you should have done and you didn't do it, because it means the next time you see this fool, you gonna do it, which means he's in control and not you. This stuff is very heavy because people still struggle with letting people not control them. Do you think I'm exempt just because I know about it? No, I got these fights with myself all the time. I be driving. I'm a driver. So I'm driving down the road all the time. I see people doing dangerous stuff, putting other people's lives at risk. These be the same people with their cars turned over on the side of the road, trucks turned over, whole mangled trucks that broke up into pieces, right? And I'm driving by going, oh man, I hope everybody's all right. Because I don't wish no harm on nobody, but it's some demon, some low life, some low lander out here driving his car 90 and a 70, weaving in and out of traffic, not knowing he's scaring elderly people that can't see that good and hear that good. He's scaring young people that just got their license. They fresh out there on the road, and in the world, they scared to death. But this fool's out there going, F everybody in the moment. Now, when you see an accident like that, you got to ask yourself, what caused it? Don't get super religious before you get scientific. There's science behind every accident. People would think that the elements is out here just killing people. No, people make crazy choices to drive themselves in a ditch. See, that's part of the magic spell of what Baba reminded us of. They make your car go 120 knowing that the speed limit set at 35, 25, 15 in some zones, 55, 70, but they want you to push it. They're controlling the emotions. As soon as you get mad, you ain't never went 180 before on the freeway, but you about to take your Ferrari and go 180. You're going 180 down the highway. Then the cops is on you. Red and blue and white lights flash. Triggers the emotions more. That's magic. This is all spell casting here. When you see the sirens on the car, you might have been to jail before, so you say, I ain't going back. You put that spell out there in the air. Because you said you ain't going back. The ether said, well, you got to go somewhere. Either you ain't going back, or you gonna go and hide if you escape, or you gonna go out of the body because you're getting ready to murder yourself and another person. But you're going somewhere fast. Most people don't think that far into it when they're doing. They just be in the moment because time is nothing but moments. See, that's why we had to calculate it in seconds and minutes and hours and days. We had to do this so that we can keep track of the mistakes. We had to keep track of the solar system. We had to keep track of the planet spinning around the sun. We had to keep track of ourselves while we're on this planet too, because we don't want to get stuck here. So it was created. It's a construct for us to map our travels throughout space. That's all it is. But if we get trapped up into the spells of the word time, when somebody goes, you ain't got no more time, it makes your heart pound. Why? You should easily say, well, what is time? If we ain't got no more of it, and I'm not dead because it's ran out, then time never was affecting me anyway. But ain't nobody gonna ask that question because they're not willing to challenge the spell. It's a spell, okay? Every word I'm speaking out of my mouth is a spell. Every word anybody else speaks out of their mouth is a spell. That's why I teach Circumology. I teach Circumology so you learn how to rewrite, rearrange. You don't never let anybody get into your psyche with their psyche. There's some crazy people out here that have had you just as crazy as they is. Y'all know I'm not lying, which is another spell word. All of the words we use, it doesn't matter what language you use either. You can cast spells on people. Some languages do better because they don't have a lot of profane things to say.